You think you know the people you love. You build your whole life on that certainty. Then, in the blink of an eye, you find out you've been living an entire lie. My name is Marcelo. I'm 42. I work as a civil engineer here in Columbus, married with 2 kids. I always thought of myself as a lucky guy, you know? Stable family, parents married for 40 years, a sister I'd protected since she was little, until the day my dad died and a bomb he'd set on a timer finally went off. A bomb that destroyed everything I thought I knew about him. I need to get this off my chest, because trust me, there are so many people out there living lies they can't even imagine. My dad, Jorge, was the kind of man everyone admired. You know the type. The guy who walks into the local diner and greets everyone by name. The one who pulls over on the highway to help a stranger with a flat tire. Yep, that was him. A businessman, owned a hardware store in the same neighborhood for 35 years. He knew half the city. Everyone respected him. I grew up watching my dad wake up at 5 a.m., open the shop at 6:30. He worked every single day of his life until the cancer wouldn't let him anymore. I learned everything from him. Ethics, your word, commitment. Marcelo, he'd always say, a man is only as good as his word, nothing else. And I believed that with all my heart. My mom, Maria, a retired teacher, that firm but loving woman who made Sunday dinner for the whole family. I always saw my parents as the model of a solid marriage. They argued, sure, but there was respect there. There was partnership, or at least that's what I saw. My sister Helena is 3 years younger than me. We were always close. I defended her in school, taught her to ride a bike, scared off the first boyfriends who were no good. She became a veterinarian, has a small but successful clinic right here in town. We'd have lunch together at least once a week. A tight-knit family, you see? I built my life in my dad's image, got my engineering degree, married Fernanda at 28, had 2 kids, Pedro, who's 15, and Julia, who's 12. I work at a medium-sized construction firm, make good money, nothing luxurious but comfortable. Weekends, we'd all get together at my parents' house. It was that traditional thing, you know. Barbecues, football on TV, kids running around the backyard. And then came the cancer. We found out 2 years before he died. Pancreatic cancer, aggressive. Dad fought with everything he had. Chemo, radiation, alternative treatments. We took turns at the hospital, me and Helena. Mom practically lived there. In the last 6 months, he just wasted away. That strong man who used to carry cement bags on his back into his 60s became a shadow. But his mind stayed sharp. He knew exactly what was happening. There was a moment about 2 weeks before he died when he called me into the hospital room alone. Mom had gone out for lunch. Helena was at her clinic. It was late afternoon, that orange end-of-day light coming through the window. "Marcelo," he said, his voice weak. "You're a good man, better than me." I thought it was the morphine talking. I held his hand. "Don't talk nonsense, Dad. You're my role model." He squeezed my hand with a strength I didn't expect. "When I'm gone, take care of your sister. Promise me." "Of course, Dad, I always have." "No," he insisted. "Promise me. No matter what. Promise you won't abandon her." That confused me. Why was he so worried? Why that insistence? "I promise, Dad. You can rest easy." He relaxed, closed his eyes, and I stayed there, holding his hand, not understanding the weight of that promise. 3 months before he died, he called me and Helena into his home office. He said he wanted to get everything settled, leave no loose ends. He asked Mr. Alencar, the family lawyer for decades, to come review the will right there, in front of us. It was all transparent. The store would be mine to run or sell, as I wished. The lake house for Helena, the city house for Mom, obviously, plus a nest egg he'd saved up. Everything divided fairly. We signed, he signed, Mr. Alencar notarized everything. Dad seemed relieved. "It's all settled," he said that day. His voice was already weak, but there was conviction in it. "You're all going to be fine. Take care of your mother and each other." Helena and I left there feeling calm, you know. Sad about the situation, but calm that everything was in order. Dad died on a Tuesday morning at home, the way he wanted. Mom at his side, holding his hand. Helena and I got there in time to say goodbye. It was painful, but there was a peace to it, a sense of duty fulfilled. He lived well, loved his family, left everything organized. We had a beautiful funeral. Half the neighborhood showed up. People telling stories about how my dad helped them, gave them jobs, lent them money without asking for it back. Mr. Mannel, the baker from the corner, told me crying how Dad paid for his wife's cancer treatment 15 years ago. Mrs. Teresa, an old neighbor, remembered when Dad organized a fundraiser to renovate the local daycare. It reinforced everything I'd always believed about him. My dad was a good man, a man of his word. The next 3 weeks were that normal blur you go through when you lose a parent. Probate, paperwork, condolence visits, organizing personal belongings. Mum was devastated but holding it together. Helena cried every day but kept functioning. I was on autopilot, handling everything, being strong for everyone. It was during that time I started cleaning out Dad's home office. There was so much stuff piled up. Invoices from 1985, receipts for materials, old business cards. Every piece of paper was a memory. I found a shoebox in the back of the closet, full of old photos. Dad and Mom, young at their wedding. Me as a baby, Helena as a baby. And tucked in the middle of the photos, a different birth certificate, a photocopy of a birth certificate. For Helena, but with a different mother's name. I stared at it, not understanding. Must be a clerical error, I thought. I put it back and didn't think twice about it. How could I have possibly imagined? Then came the phone call. Mr. Alencar called, asking for me and Helena to come back to his office. He said there was an addendum to the will that needed to be revealed. An addendum? What addendum? We had signed everything. We had seen everything. Or hadn't we? On the way to the office, I called Helena. She didn't know anything either. It's probably just bureaucracy, she said. Some account he forgot to mention, I don't know. We met at the office door. She was wearing dark sunglasses, even though it was an overcast day. I realize now she already knew something heavy was coming. Women's intuition, maybe. Or fear of something she already suspected deep down. The conference room felt different from the day we signed the will with Dad present. Colder. Mr. Alencar was serious, without his usual gentle smile. On the table, a separate folder, brown, sealed with red wax and Dad's signature. Your father asked me to open this only 3 weeks after his passing, in the presence of both of you, Mr. Alencar began. His voice was strange. There was pity in it. It's a confidential addendum he drafted 6 months ago. He was very specific about the timing of the reveal. I looked at Helena. She was pale, hands clutching her purse. Mr. Alencar broke the seal, opened the folder. He pulled out 2 typewritten pages. He looked at us one more time, as if asking permission to continue, and he began to read. I, Jorge Henrique dos Santos, being of sound mind, make this addition to my last will and testament for the purpose of establishing the truth before it is discovered in a worse manner. My heart started to pound. I publicly acknowledge that Helena dos Santos is not the biological daughter of my wife, Maria Aparecida dos Santos. Helena is the result of an extramarital affair I maintained for 4 years with Luciana Ferreira, a co-worker at the time when I was still a traveling salesman, before I opened the store. The world stopped. Mr. Alencar kept reading, but I could barely process the words. Something about him having claimed Helena since birth, registering her as his legitimate daughter, having maintained the parallel relationship until Luciana decided to move to another state and give up the child. Maria never officially knew, although I suspect she always intuited it. I raised Helena with all the love a father can have. She is my daughter in every sense that matters. I ask forgiveness from my wife should she discover this after my death. And I especially ask my son Marcelo not to abandon his sister, not to hold this hatred against her because of my mistakes. Silence. A dense, heavy silence that hurt my ears. I looked at Helena. She was motionless. Eyes wide, mouth slightly open, hands trembling. Tears started streaming out from under her dark glasses. "Do you need a minute?" Mr. Alencar asked quietly. Helena stood up, didn't say a word. She grabbed her purse and walked out of the room. I heard her footsteps quicken down the hall, the front door slamming. I just sat there paralyzed, 36 years of my life crumbling in 2 minutes. The man I admired, the example of integrity, the faithful husband who advised others on loyalty. He had lived a lie for decades, and he still had the audacity to write that, as if it were a legitimate apology. "Is there more?" I managed to ask. Mr. Alencar shook his head. "Just this. He asked me to give you this as well." He handed me an envelope. "It's for you, private." I took the envelope but didn't open it there. I couldn't. I thanked him mechanically and left. In the car, I sat for a half hour just staring at the steering wheel, the questions hammering in my head. How, why, when? Did Mom know? Did Helena know? Did anyone else know? And the question that hurt the most, who was the man I called Dad my entire life? I started remembering things, little details that meant nothing at the time, but now carried a different weight. Like that time the whole family went to the lake and some guy stopped my dad on the boardwalk, said hi, looked at Helena with a strange expression and said, "What a beautiful daughter. She takes after you, Jorge." My dad got tense, cut the conversation short, and we left. Or that Christmas when Helena was about 10 and asked why she didn't look like anyone in the family. Mom turned pale. Dad gave a nervous laugh and said genetics were a lottery. But the mood was weird for the rest of the night. I started to realize there was always an extra layer of care with Helena. Dad never got angry with her, never pushed her. If she got a bad grade, he'd let it slide. If she came home late, he wouldn't complain. With me, it was different. With me, he was tougher, more demanding. At the time, I thought it was because I was the man, the oldest, the example. Now, I saw it. It was guilt. He was compensating for the guilt by being too permissive with her. There was also the story of her sweet 16 party. Dad spent a fortune, way more than he spent on my 18th birthday. At the time, Mum complained, said it was excessive. He shot back that she was his daughter, and he'd do what he wanted. The argument got heavy. Now it all made sense. I drove home on autopilot, walked in, went straight to the bedroom. My wife, Fernanda, tried to talk to me, but I asked for some time. I lay down on the bed and opened the envelope. It was a handwritten letter, his shaky handwriting from the last few months, but recognizable. "Marcelo, my son, if you are reading this, it means 3 weeks have passed and you now know the truth. I know you're angry. I know you feel betrayed. You have every right. I lied to you. I lied to your mother. I lied to everyone. But I never lied about the love I feel for you and for Helena. You are my children, both of you, in the same way. Protect your sister. She is going to need you now more than ever. And forgive this old coward when you can. Your loving father, Jorge." I crumpled up that letter, threw it across the room. I cried for the first time since the funeral, but it wasn't grief. It was anger, betrayal, total confusion. Fernanda came into the room and held me. I told her everything. She was shocked, of course, but her first concern was, what about Helena? How is she? I tried calling my sister. No answer. Sent a text. She read it but didn't reply. I drove to her house. No one answered the buzzer. The next few days were torture. Helena vanished. Wouldn't answer anyone. She sent a message to her clinic saying she was taking an indefinite medical leave. Mum started calling me, worried, saying Helena wouldn't answer her calls either. I was torn between finding my sister and confronting my mother. Did she know? And if she knew, why did she never say anything? I went back to that shoebox. I grabbed the birth certificate I'd found, looked at it closely. Mother's name, Luciana Ferreira. Father's name, Jorge Enrique dos Santos. Date, March 17th, 1985. There was another certificate in there too, the official one, the one that was registered. Mother's name, Maria Aparecida dos Santos. Same date, same hospital. Dad had falsified the document or paid someone to. He registered Helena as the legitimate child of his marriage when she was actually his child from an affair. I stared at those papers, trying to understand his mindset. What went through his head? Fear, love, selfishness, all of it at once. A week after that god-awful revelation, I went to visit Mom. She was in the kitchen making coffee, just like she did every afternoon since Dad died, her ritual for coping with the grief. I sat at the table. I was silent for a while, until I couldn't stand it anymore. "Did you know?" I asked. Straight out. No beating around the bush. She stopped stirring the coffee. Her back was to me for a few seconds. Then she turned, slowly. Her eyes were red. "I always knew," she said. Her voice was firm, but quiet. "From the beginning." "How?" She sat down across from me, took a deep breath. "Luciana came to see me when she was pregnant. She told me everything, said your father didn't want to leave his family, but that she was expecting his child. She asked for money to go away and never come back. I offered her more. I offered her triple if she would go away and leave the child. I was speechless. Your father didn't know that I knew. He came to me and told me about her pregnancy, as if it were an accident he needed to solve. I pretended to be surprised. I pretended to accept raising the child out of Christian charity. But the truth, Marcelo, is that I did it for me, not for him." "Why?" I managed to ask. "Because I loved your father. Because we had built a life together. Because you were 5 years old and deserved to grow up with your father present. And because that child was innocent, she wasn't to blame for any of it. She took my hand. Helena is my daughter. I chose her to be. I changed her diapers. I taught her to walk, to talk. I took care of her when she had a fever. Blood doesn't define anything, Marcelo. Love does. I didn't know what to feel. Anger, admiration, sadness, all of it. And you never threw it in his face?" I asked. "I did," she said once, in a huge fight about 15 years ago. I told him I knew everything, that I'd always known. He cried like a child, begged for forgiveness on his knees, and we never ever spoke of it again. "But how? How did you live with that?" I insisted. Mom looked out the window, as if searching for the right words out there. "It wasn't easy. There were days I'd look at Helena and see the betrayal. But then she'd call me Mom, she'd hug me, and I'd remember she was just a child who needed me. And over time, she truly became my daughter. I wasn't pretending anymore, it was real." She wiped away a tear. "Your father never cheated again. I'm sure of that. He learned his lesson. He paid his price, living with the guilt every single day. I saw it in his eyes, especially when he looked at Helena. There was love, but there was remorse too." "And Luciana?" I asked. "What happened to her?" "She disappeared, took the money and moved to Florida. She sent letters a few times in the first few years, asking about Helena. Your father would answer with photos, saying she was doing well. Then the letters stopped. I figured she'd moved on with her life. I went home that day understanding even less than before. My family was a lie built on lies, but at the same time, there was something real in it, something I couldn't name. Helena was still missing. 2 weeks passed. Then finally she answered the phone. "I need to talk to you," she said. Her voice was hoarse, heavy. "Come to my house, please." I went over the same day. When she opened the door, I was startled. My sister looked like she'd lost 10 pounds. Dark circles under her eyes, hair a mess, wrinkled clothes. The house was a disaster. Clothes thrown everywhere, dirty dishes in the sink, curtains drawn. "Sorry," she said, trying to tidy up a bit. I'm not okay." We sat on the couch, and then she showed me a letter, yellowed, an envelope postmarked 10 years ago. "This arrived at Mom and Dad's house 10 years ago," Helena began. "I found it by accident, hidden in Dad's drawer a few days after he died, before that meeting with the lawyer." She handed me the letter. It was from Luciana, her biological mother. In the letter, Luciana said she was sick with cancer, that she wanted to see her daughter one last time before she died, that she had respected the agreement for all those years, but she was afraid of dying without Helena knowing the truth. She left an address, a phone number, a desperate plea. "Dad intercepted this," Helena said, her voice breaking. "He intercepted it and never gave it to me." She died 2 years after this letter. I looked it up online. I found her obituary. She died without seeing me, and I never even knew she existed." Helena started to sob, that deep, held-in cry. I called the number she left in the letter. It still works. It's the house where she lived. A man answered. He said he was her son, my half-brother. He didn't even know I existed. His mother, our mother, never told him she'd had a daughter before. She wiped her tears on her sleeve. "You know what hurts the most? I remember that time. 10 years ago, I was finishing college, and there was one day, one specific day, Dad called me to talk. He told me he loved me very much, that I was special to him. I thought it was weird at the time, but I brushed it off. Now I get it. He had just hidden that letter, and he was feeling guilty. I don't know who I am, Marcelo. My name is a lie. My last name is a lie. The mother I knew isn't my real mother. The father I knew hid my real mother from me until she died. I'm the bastard child everyone pretended didn't exist. You're my sister," I said firmly. I took her hands. "You're the girl I taught to ride a bike, who slept in my room when she was scared of thunderstorms, who called me at 3 in the morning when she broke up with a boyfriend, who was the maid of honor at my wedding. That is real, Helena. The rest is Dad's problem, not yours." "But I don't know where I came from," she said softly. "I don't know who my mother is. I don't know half of my own story." "Then let's find out," I said, "together, if you want to." She looked at me with those red, swollen eyes. "You're not disgusted by me?" The question broke my heart. Disgusted? "Helena, you're the most decent person I know. You take care of sick animals for free when people can't pay. You visited Dad in the hospital every single day, even when you were working 12-hour shifts. You are the best person in this family. None of this is your fault. It never was. We cried together that afternoon. My little sister, who I'd always protected, was shattered, and I couldn't fix it, but I could stay, and that's what I was going to do. In the following weeks, I helped Helena investigate. We found out Luciana had been married for a few years after she moved, had 2 more children, got divorced, worked as a secretary her whole life, died of breast cancer at 53. Helena found her half-brothers on Facebook. 2 men, one 28, the other 25. They lived in Orlando. They were shocked when she contacted them. They had no idea their mom had a daughter before them. The older brother, Ricardo, sent photos of Luciana when she was young. Helena saw her own face in those pictures, the same nose, the same eye shape, the same mouth. "It's weird," she told me after a video call with them. "They're my blood relatives, but I don't feel anything. I don't feel that connection I feel with you. That's because family isn't just blood," I answered. "It's shared history. It's being there on the worst days. It's this." Ricardo sent more information. He said their mother had been a closed-off private woman, that she never talked about her past, that when they asked, she'd change the subject. He said he found a diary of hers after she died, and in that diary, there were several pages about a daughter she had to give up. "She wrote your name," Ricardo said on a call. "Helena, she chose your name. And she wrote that she thought about you every day, that she regretted taking the money, that she wished she had been stronger." Helena cried when she heard that. It wasn't anger. It was sadness for the mother she never knew, for the woman who gave up her child and lived with that weight until she died. The weeks turned into months. Helena started to rebuild herself. She went back to work, started therapy. She went to visit her half-brothers in Orlando. She came back saying they were nice, but it was all just strange. They were strangers with the same DNA. "Ricardo showed me where she's buried," Helena told me. "I went to visit her grave. I brought flowers. I stayed there for an hour just talking to her, telling her about my life. I don't know if it made a difference, but I needed to. Mom tried to get closer, but Helena still kept some distance. Until one day, on Mom's birthday, Helena showed up with a gift, a photo album she had put together, pictures of the 2 of them, from when she was a baby until now. "You are my mother," Helena said to her in front of everyone. "You chose me when you didn't have to. You loved me when you could have rejected me. That means more than blood. Mom hugged her and cried, and we saw right there that despite everything, there was healing, or at least a path to healing. I started to reevaluate everything I knew about my father. I read his letter maybe 10 more times. I went to his grave a few times, trying to understand, trying to forgive. And I realized something. He was human, flawed, a coward in some moments, brave in others. He made a terrible mistake, but he tried to fix it in the broken way he knew how. That bomb he set on a timer wasn't cruelty. It was cowardice, yes, but it was also an attempt to control the uncontrollable. He didn't have the courage to tell us while he was alive, but he also didn't have the courage to take the secret to his grave and let the truth leak out in a worse way, through third parties, through gossip, by accident. 3 months after the revelation, I managed to get everyone together for lunch. Me, Fernanda, our kids, Helena, Mum. It was awkward at first, tense, but we ate, we talked, we remembered good times. Pedro, my oldest son, asked if Aunt Helena was still his aunt. Helena looked at him and said, "I'm your aunt forever, nothing changes that." At the end of the meal, Helena hugged Mom and said, "Thank you for choosing me." Today, a year later, we're all still processing. Some days are easier, some days are harder. Helena found out she has 2 half-brothers from her biological mother who live in Orlando. She's talking to them, getting to know that part of her history that was stolen from her. They're nice, she says, but they aren't family. Not yet. Maybe one day. Ricardo visited Columbus last month. He met us. It was strange but good. He brought Luciana's diary and left it with Helena. "It's hers by right," he said. Helena still hasn't had the courage to read all of it. She reads 1 page a day. It's too heavy, processing the pain of a mother she never knew. Mom is doing well. Lighter, actually. She said that carrying that secret for 30-something years was exhausting. That every time someone complimented Helena on how much she looked like Dad, she felt a sting. That every time there was a family gathering and someone mentioned genetics, she would freeze. Now she can just be who she always was, the mother who chose to love unconditionally. I still have lunch with Helena every week. We don't mention the will, the letter, any of it anymore. We talk about work, about movies, about stupid stuff. Because I've understood one thing through all these months. Family isn't about blood. It's not about absolute truth or moral perfection. Family is about who stays when everything falls apart. About who chooses to stay, even when the foundation was false from the beginning. My dad wasn't the man I thought he was. He was worse in some ways, better in others. He was complicated, contradictory, human. He disappointed me deeply, but he also taught me, without meaning to, that love doesn't have to be perfect to be real. Helena is my sister, not my half-sister. Not my adopted sister, my sister, period. And I will protect her until the end, because that's what I promised when I was 5 years old, and she was a baby crying in her crib. And it's what I choose to do today, knowing everything. Last week, we went to Dad's grave, me, Helena, and Mom. We stood there for a while in silence. Helena put down flowers. Mom said a quiet prayer. I just stood there looking at that headstone with his name on it. Jorge Henrique dos Santos, 1950-2024. Father, husband, friend, half-truths, like everything in his life. But you know what? I forgave him, not because he deserved it, but because I deserved it. Carrying anger against a dead man is just carrying useless weight, and I had living people to take care of. Helena is learning to forgive too. She doesn't forget, but she forgives. It's different. She says Dad did the best he could with the emotional tools he had, and that in the end, despite everything, he loved her. In his own broken way, he loved her. Some wounds never heal, it's true. They just need to be tended to. We take care of each other now. We're building a new family on the rubble of the old one. And we keep going. Because in the end, it doesn't matter how you got into a family. It matters if you choose to stay. If you've lived through something similar, leave it in the comments. Sometimes we just need to know we're not alone in this mess of being human. And if this story touched you in some way, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us share these stories that, as painful as they are, need to be told. Thank you for staying until the end. Truly.